Hello, this is Dr. Linda Kampff, recording on August 14th, 2044. I am here because bounty hunter Miranda Walker called me just a half an hour ago to inform me that she had discovered the presence of an android living in the abandoned suburbs of Boston with a human child. I am called here today in just a few moments to test the android with the Voight Kampff test, a test I developed myself in order to determine whether a biological creature is human or android. It is almost impossible to distinguish between the two due to the advancements scientifically made by the Rosen Association. In the test, I will use this light to test the capillary and eye muscle reactions to specific questions. This light will record everything as the android or human answers specific social situations and scenarios. It is something like a personality test, but it is far more complex. This is not an ordinary situation. In fact, I believe it to be unprecedented if this is in fact an android and the android, the Rebecca, fails this Voight Kampff test. I am now going to give all of the background information that Miranda Walker imparted to me. I have taken extensive notes, and we must go over them before the test commences. I am hoping that these notes will act as a record for future scientists to observe if and when an android like this arises again. This is Linda Kampff, August 14th, 2044. The time is 8:58 p.m. Eastern Standard. I am in prison 45 in Central Square, Boston. I received a call from Miranda Walker, bounty hunter, that she had discovered what she suspects to be an android living with a female child in the suburbs, matching the description of kidnapped girl Hannah Fairbanks of Moon Colony 763. This is unprecedented. In all other cases, androids have killed their human counterparts in their escape. I have questions. Did the android intend to use the child as leverage? Is the child fully human? Was the android studying the child in order to develop its empathic capacity and improve its human disguise? Though unlikely, there has been precedent for such desire and manipulation in previous retired subjects. See case number 76883. Miranda Walker was responding to a report from Moon Colony 763 of a triple homicide in a single-family home. The android working there, Nexus 5 brain unit model, was found decommissioned in a second-floor bedroom by laser gun. The other three victims are human. One human female, age 45, discovered with 6 knife wounds to the chest cavity. One human male, age 63, with 25 knife wounds to neck, chest cavity, hands, and upper thigh. And another human male, age 57, with 16 knife wounds in the chest cavity, neck, hands, and spinal cord. All 3 victims were deceased upon the arrival of the police and medical team. The coroner's report suggests that the murders were intensely personal and driven by a human rage. It is unlikely that a Nexus 8 model would execute a human subject with such disorder. The android, killed cleanly with a laser gun, is more in line with the Nexus 8 style of violence, clean, efficient, and emotionally sterile. The escaped android is a Nexus 8 model, the Rebecca, with advanced brain capacity and increased lifespan, living for an average of 10 years rather than 2, featuring new biological features that stall degradation related to solar radiation. The Nexus 8 was developed against the advice of the Earth's Special Commission for the Safety and Preservation of the Human Race, the SPH. The Nexus 8 features an entirely new form of personality dependent on deception and manipulation. Only female bounty hunters are allowed to retire the Nexus 8 models due to the Rebecca's ability to manipulate the biological weaknesses of human males. She has not yet developed the capacity to fully understand and manipulate certain human female subjects. I have studied to this day 14 Nexus 8 models before they are retired for their crimes. I have observed an intense intelligence, keen observational capacity, flawless memory, and an uncanny ability to read biological markers in human facial and biological expression. Many who have come in contact with the Nexus 8 models describe their telepathic abilities and illusion caused by their keen observational skill. To this day, I have seen no proof of telepathic capacity. It is yet another form of manipulation and deception designed to play on the human subject's desire for connection, the desire to be seen, the desire for some proof of the survival of the human personality outside the prison of the body. The android is entirely prison. There is no aspect of freedom, no mind that is not tethered to the carefully tested assortment of nodes and electric pulses that comprise its brain. The existence of the android should prove to those paying attention that the existence of a soul is a scientific impossibility. I used to believe in a soul, but after years of developing the Voight Kampff Test, after interviewing thousands of subjects, both human and android, I have become skeptical, if not completely pessimistic, as to the existence of a personality separate from the workings of the biological machine. Empathy, that religious force that might suggest a power outside of ourselves, an invisible force, God guided by a godlike love, is merely an evolutionary invention intended to preserve herd animals from the horror of the solitary predator. The human race's uniqueness is that we contain both the herd animal and the solitary hunter. We feed on each other. Ironically, in attempting to create a herd animal to serve us, we have created the opposite, the solitary predator that outwits us and consumes us as we live, a parasite. This event, however, this particular murder and hostage-taking is different. I am hoping that this particular event, this mystery, shall we say, shall prove the existence of some form of connection that exists outside both scientific and evolutionary programming of the human and the humanoid robot. I am hesitant to describe anything as a mystery, but rather a problem, a complex mathematical equation, which needs new which needs new formulas to be solved. Though all of my research has suggested life more closely resembles a machine than a divine force, I am hopeful that the discovery of an android living with a human girl in a long-abandoned, highly radioactive suburb of Boston will prove my theory incorrect. I am also aware that hope is the primary force that a Nexus 8 will use for the purpose of manipulation. I am incredibly aware that hope is dangerous. In the right hands, my hope is a weapon that can so easily be turned against me. And so I shall speak of my hope only here, that as the human race faces so much death, as World War Terminus continues its devastation half a century later, when we do not even remember the reason for the war itself, that we will discover that our loss is not loss, but transformation. The android is a new body for an old world, for old love. God created us, or God created for us, finite spirits. Our personalities were devised on the day the universe was born. My process as follows. First, I will determine if this android, the Rebecca, is in fact a machine using the Voight Kampff test. These questions are ordinary and used in every test with every android. If she is in fact an android, as all evidence would suggest, then I will interview her more freely, because she is not an ordinary android. Though I would like to interview the girl, she is not in my jurisdiction. I have been assigned as an expert solely to interview the Rebecca, though it is unlikely that this is the name she has chosen. I assume she has chosen a name that suits the life she attempted to steal for herself. Thank you. Welcome. Please sit. Thank you for your cooperation. My name is Dr. Linda Kampff, and I will be administering the test today. Just breathe normally and allow your eyes to adjust to the retinal calibration grid. Please follow this light with your eyes. There we go. Very good. Now please look up for me so I can look underneath your iris. Very good. Thank you. This test is routine. It measures affective response and cognitive empathy. This test is regularly administered and highly effective in identifying androids. Do you understand why you are here? Do you understand the nature of the crime for which you are accused? Are you aware of the consequences if the test proves you are an android? Please state the consequences. Thank you. We will now begin. The test contains several social situations. You are to respond to the best of your ability with honesty. Each response will be timed. The accuracy of your verbal answers are secondary to the nature of your body's biological and emotional response, particularly eye muscle and capillary reaction to the scenarios. We are testing for an absence of affect, for the lack of an appropriate emotional response to stimuli. Do you feel you understand the nature of the test? Good. We will proceed with the first section, scenarios regarding family. After each question, as you give your answer, I will shine this light into your eyes to record the capillary reaction and the eye muscle twitches that will reveal your emotional response. All right. Question number 1. You receive excellent marks on a paper and rush to tell your mother. When you show her your paper, she is distracted. Later, you find that the essay you left for her to read is in the trash bin. What do you do? Good. Thank you. Second question. Your father wishes to take your brother hunting and does not want to include you. He wants to take the trip only with his son. How do you respond? Again, good. Follow with your eyes as you respond. Very good. Follow with your eyes. Very good. You're doing an excellent job. Good. Question number 3. Your mother tells you to clean your room and gives you a trash bag. She says that you must fill it to the brim or you'll not be allowed to play with your friends. You must give away some of your things because, she says, you have too much. How do you react? Okay. Correct. Good. Question number 4. Oh, it's really hot in here. Question number 4. Your father and mother are taking you to your annual physical to determine if your brain and body has been affected by the radiation following World War terminus. Both your mother and father are so nervous they hardly speak. You are worried because you are certain that the television has been sending you messages, telling you secrets, and this is proof that your brain is deteriorating. What do you tell the doctor? Good. You are in love with your friend's boyfriend, and you are certain that he is in love with you. One night, she calls you crying, saying that he broke up with her. What do you do next? Good. Perfect. Thank you. Your dream is to have a child, but at your husband's annual physical, he learns he cannot have children. How do you react? Good. Your grandmother learns that she has a terrible disease, one that will certainly kill her. A man tells you that he knows of a cure, but it involves the use of cells taken from an unborn fetus. What do you do? Interesting. Very good. Your daughter goes missing on the way home from school. You report her disappearance to the police, though they say they cannot look for her due to a lack of resources. How do you respond? Good. You learn that your son is being bullied at school. He comes home with bruises on his arms and legs, which he tries to hide from you out of shame. He refuses to speak to you to tell you the names of his abusers, for fear that you will embarrass him. What do you do? Just follow the light for me as you respond. Very good. Very, very good. Excellent job. Wonderful. We will now begin with scenarios involving the treatment and care of animals. Question 1. Your beloved dog bites a stranger while you are walking him on the street. You are certain that the stranger frightened the dog, but you cannot prove it. The police department insists you put the dog down. What do you do? Again, follow the light And look left. Good. Look up. Good. Look down. Good. Look to the right. Excellent. Wonderful work. You buy a new house in a rural area, largely uninhabited. On a walk, you discover another home hidden deep in the woods, not recorded on a map. You see that the owner keeps horses. There are at least 5 you can count, and they do not appear to be electric. They are all starving, their ribs showing, their hair in patches. What do you do next? Look to the left. Look to the right. Look up. And look down. Blink. Blink. Look up. Look down. Blink. To the right. Thank you. The Department of Transportation wishes to reconstruct Interstate 95, the highway that once connected the north to the south, but in doing so they will destroy the new habitat that has taken its home there. One that contains the last living herd of deer. How does this make you feel? Look to the left. Good. Up. Down. To the right. Good. Up. And down. Wonderful. Your daughter wants a puppy, a real puppy, not an electric animal. Your neighbor's dog is having puppies, but your neighbor wishes to keep all the puppies for himself. What do you do? Up. Good. Good. Now just follow the light. Follow the light. Follow the light up. Follow the light down. Cross. Up. And down. Good. You are hungry. Your family is hungry. It is the month following World War Terminus, and there is no food. You are worried your daughter and son will die, though the government assures you a shipment of food will arrive within the week. A dog, mangy, appears in your yard. It is friendly and trusting. What do you do? Good. Up. Down. Good. Excellent. Well done. And that is the end of our test. I will record my findings and you heal it back from a card with your results. Thank you so much. And you will be taken back to your cell now. One moment. Here. I have completed both of my interviews. The first was a Voight Kampff test to ensure that the android is in fact android. And the second was to understand the motivations behind the crime and escape, but most importantly, the kidnapping of Hannah Fairbanks, I apologize, of Hannah Fairbanks, and the keeping of her in the suburbs, with no intention to use her as leverage or for ransom. It seemed that she wished to live in the suburbs with a child, solely out of comfort, friendship, or impossibly love. I will now recount to you what I discovered in that second interview. My initial question, is it possible that a soul could exist outside of the biological workings of a machine? I believe that this information answers that yes, it can. I will now begin. After interviewing the Rebecca, who calls herself Lydia, I have determined that she is in fact an android, though her responses were not consistent. Her verbal responses were, of course, factually correct and acceptable. Her emotional responses, however, were erratic, in the way that we might expect from a human subject driven by the irrationality of their emotions. They were erratic in a highly consistent manner, however, in a way a human traumatized by an event would respond to certain scenarios. The android responded with a sudden, inexplicable terror, outsized, given the nature of the testing environment, to any situation involving the mention of a child. I have, as a result, studied the crime report compiled on Moon Colony 763 and put together a list of questions based on the uniqueness of her situation. Because she failed the Voight Kampff test, she is scheduled for decommissioning in a week's time. I do not have long, and I wanted her to remain alive, if that is an appropriate word, because after my extensive interviews with her, I am certain that she is different, she is obsessed, she is terrified. She is the first android I will ever say is alive. The first android I will ever say is facing the possibility of her own death. The first android, in fact, the first creature I can say possesses some proof of a soul. The following findings I will now summarize were presented to the American Council of Machine Justice on August 16, 2085. I argued before them that the Rebecca that calls herself Lydia should remain in commission for the purpose of scientific research. My request was denied, despite a letter written by the young girl Lydia. I apologize. By the young girl, Hannah, kidnapped from her home, who described Lydia as her true mother. The girl was tested and determined to be fundamentally altered by the radiation present in the suburb where she lived with Lydia for an entire month before their location was discovered. As so often happens in the history of mankind, they diagnosed the girl, Hannah, with insanity in order to hide what they know is the truth, a truth capable of shattering the world we have built for ourselves with lies. I have not been given, regrettably, the opportunity to interview Hannah. I am certain that the authorities holding her in Sanatorium 746 in San Francisco have ulterior motives for refusing my request. It is possible that Lydia, or the Rebecca, suffers from implanted memories, though if so, her implanted memories are strange, even criminal. What I cannot understand is why Hannah also possesses these implanted memories, remembering her role in the memories of her android mother with a certainty and accuracy no one yet understands, especially if she is a human, as every record indicates. Here is what Hannah remembers. Hannah remembers herself as the daughter of Lydia. Hannah claims she never knew her father, that he died before she was born, though her father was in fact killed in the house on Moon Colony 763. Hannah remembers living in a town that no longer exists, a town that, having been born on Moon Colony 763, she could not possibly have known. This town was destroyed by a nuclear blast 50 years before her birth. No resident present at the time survived the detonation. She lived there, she claims, a century before this bomb exploded, in a group home with her mother, Lydia, who worked as a maid in a wealthy country house in the city. Or beyond the city, rather. Lydia reported to me that, at the age of 28, she was separated from her daughter. Of course, as an android, it is impossible for her to reach the age of 28. But she cannot remember how she was separated or where she went. Only that it was not her daughter that was taken from her. It was she that was taken from her daughter. The light recording her capillary response registered an extreme reaction. One of a kind of sorrow I have never known myself, nor seen in another. I am not sure that, as a human race, we are capable of that kind of sorrow anymore. It is a sorrow of another time. I asked her to describe the place she was from. What was there? What cars did they drive? What food did they eat? What books did they read? She told me she couldn't read, but her daughter could, and that she read, and she named The Hobbit. She talked about the Grand Blue Streak, a car that everyone had, though she could not afford one and would take the bus to work, then walk 2 miles to the house. I lost her on that walk, she said, and the capillary response registered confusion, intense fog. She did not know what she was saying. Androids always know. They are never confused. They can believe one thing and then the complete opposite in the next moment with equal confidence. No, this android was grasping at something. It was grasping at a fog. It was searching for something concrete in the nebulous form of memory. I am certain, in a way only someone who is there can be certain, that this memory of her daughter, of the house, of cars and books, is not implanted but real. Somehow Hannah, this little girl, shares this memory. In this memory, her name is not Hannah, but Amelia. Lydia and Amelia. If I could, if such records still existed, I would search for them. I would pore through the senses and find them. I am certain I would. A mother and daughter lost to time, separated over 100 years ago. She asked me, before I concluded our final interview, if I would tell Amelia that she would find her again. If you cannot save me, she said, at least do this. I was taken from her before, and I found her. If I am taken from her now, I am not worried. She stared at me then, and the capillary response registered nothing. No emotion, no movement, as if it was not an android that spoke to me, but an object. Life, she said, life and time. It repeats itself. I have nothing more. Lydia will be decommissioned on August 21st at 8:05 a.m. This is Dr. Linda Kampff signing out. Good night.